Hello, and welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Patty Stocker. Please join me for the next half hour as I visit Aaronap Cellars with local commercial winemaker and chemist Noel Powell. He gives us the grand tour of his winemaking operation right here in Westford, Massachusetts, and shows us both the art and chemistry that goes into making his award-winning wines. It's going to be a great show, so stick around. It's 30 Minutes. So I'm here with Noel Powell at the Aaronap Wine Cellars in Westford. And I'm actually here where Noel makes his wine. And I met Noel at the farmer's market in Westford, and he was kind enough to invite me in to see how he actually makes wine. So this is your setup. It's in the cellar of your home here in Westford. What's going on here? Yep.
Well, we've got a number of grapes actively fermenting away, and I personally don't own a vineyard, so I purchase grapes from some carefully selected partner vineyards, both here in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, as well as the West Coast in California and Washington. And so when I receive the grapes, they come in, so I toss them into a crusher destemmer.
So you're not over at Market Basket?
Like no, I'm not. No.
Okay. Nothing against Market Basket, but no, I understand. You're just like, it's a very particular type of grape.
I'm not scavenging those red grapes from the Market Basket shelves.
Okay, good.
No, they are a very particular species of grape variety called vinifera grape to make the best wines.
So it's actually like that particular wine grape.
It is, yeah. Very, very specific for making wine out of them rather than eating.
Okay.
Mainly because they have very big seeds and thick skins, and even though they taste great, they're just hard to eat a bunch of grapes like that.
Gotcha. No, I got you. You're not popping them at the beach.
Yeah.
So, so you receive the grapes.
We receive the grapes. We basically take I have a destemmer machine that takes the grapes off the stems and pumps them into our fermenting vats. And if any little acid adjustments are needed, we take care of that, and then add yeast and let the yeast do their thing. And for red grapes, such as this vat of Cabernet Sauvignon that's fermenting right now, as the yeast start to metabolize the sugar and turn it into ethanol and carbon dioxide, all of that liberated carbon dioxide gets trapped by the skins, and they forces the skins to rise to the top of the vat, where there's probably about a foot and a half thick cap up here at the
just
moment.
of the skin.
Of just the skin.
Okay. And so then all the filtered liquid fills the rest of it.
Is down underneath.
Okay.
And so 2 or 3 times a day we come in and
you smash it.
We smash the caps down, because the skins are where all of the color, a lot of all of the tannin, a lot of the flavor comes from.
That's what I would imagine.
And so you've got to get that mixed in with the liquid down underneath to get all that stuff, all the good stuff extracted. And so
when you would see those movies or the old Lucille Ball episode where she's barefoot and smashing the grapes, this is the more modern method of doing it.
A little, well, actually what she was doing, she was actually crushing them in the first place.
Oh, okay.
So what the old time they used to do to get the grapes crushed and get the juice released from the grapes is, put the grapes into a big vat and then have a whole bunch of people walk around in it and crush it.
So how do you do that then? If this isn't the process, how do you do that?
I have a machine.
Okay, that's okay. You have a machine that does it. Okay, no, that's good. No, I mean, something about the feet always sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long does it stay in these vats then for?
Anywhere from like 10 days to 2 weeks. That's usually how long it takes the yeast to do their job.
How do you know when it's done its job?
So I measure the amount of sugar that's still left in solution as it goes, and basically just watch the sugar levels slowly decrease down to 0. And when it reaches 0, I pull out my press and basically scoop all of this out of the vat and into the press, and basically press the wine off the skins.
Do you do that right here?
Yep.
Or? Wow.
Yep.
So that's a lot of work, I can
It is,
imagine.
yes, it is.
You know, physical, I'm thinking.
Well, fortunately, the press is water powered, so it's a hydraulic water powered press. So that actually takes a lot of the old straining with the old ratchet presses takes it out of the picture and makes it a little bit easier. But it's still, when you're loading half a ton of fermented grapes in there, you're still scooping half a ton.
But so from this point then, and then you press the wine.
Press the wine.
It goes into
a tank.
Okay.
And the purpose of putting it into the tank is basically to let all of the suspended solids that are in the wine that come out through the press, basically just let them fall to the bottom of the tank.
Okay.
And then when the wine is much clearer and cleaner, we then pump it into a barrel where it will stay for anywhere from 9 months to maybe 2 years, depending on the kind of on the varietal and the style that I'm trying to aim for. So
this is actually a little opposite of the vat then, where the heavy stuff rises. This the heavy stuff goes down.
At this point, fermentation's over.
Okay.
So you're not actively releasing carbon dioxide that gets caught in the particles, and so at this point, especially as the carbon dioxide is leaving the solution, there's nothing being replaced by it, and so that lets all the solids just
go down,
fall to the bottom of the tank, and go away that way.
What is this telling you right here?
So it's an airlock, and at this point, after fermentation's over, oxygen is the winemaker's worst enemy, because as soon as the wine sees more oxygen, it'll start to get oxidized and degrade. And so the purpose of this is basically let any CO2 come out of the solution and out of the tank, and then not have atmosphere come back to
go back into it.
Yeah.
Got it. And I think this is a really good time to mention that, Noel, you were a chemistry major. You were
I was, yes.
Yes. Graduate degree in chemistry.
Yes, I have a PhD in chemistry.
Oh, a PhD. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, but so when you talk about a lot of this process, it obviously is chemistry.
Yes, there's an awful lot of chemistry in a bottle of wine. So I mean, it's a big balance of science, chemistry, and art. Awful lot of history. Wine's been made for, they've traced it back, people have been making wine for almost 3,000 years.
Wow. Where did it, where do they see the origins of it?
Middle East, and kind of the, Greece, Rome, Italy, Hungary, that kind of part of the
I have some
Eastern
Europe in
Europe
me. My father was Hungarian, so maybe that's where I get the love of the wine from.
They make a lot of wine in Hungary.
I gotta go. So then it goes into these, let's walk over and look at some of these barrels here.
Into the barrels.
Okay, so the wine goes from the tank into the
barrel.
barrel.
Yep.
Okay.
Where it'll live for another, anywhere from 9 months to 18 months or so, depending on the varietal and the taste and what I'm kind of getting out of as it's barrel aging then. And then right now we've got a lot of different separate varietals aging by themselves. So we've got some Cabernet Sauvignon on top, some Zinfandel, some Malbec, some Syrah, some Petit Syrah, some Carmenere, aging in the barrels all separately, and then after they've, when I think they've kind of reached their pinnacle of their barrel aging.
And that's by taste testing it?
Basically taste testing.
Yep.
Yep. And carefully monitoring as the situation goes on. So that's the fun part of being a winemaker is you have to do quality control.
A lot of sampling, yes. I can imagine.
And so when they've reached the point that I'm happy with the way they're tasting after they've been barrel aging for a while, is then basically take them out and either decide whether to bottle them as individual separate varietals or to create a wine blend from them. And that's where a lot of the art to winemaking comes in,
right?
Because a lot of varietals are great on their own, but they may, depending on the year, depending on the vineyard, depending on how the winemaking process went on, they may have really great attributes in some areas, like the fruit flavors or their structure or their tannin levels, but they may be lacking in other things. And so that's when the craft and the art of winemaking come in, is figuring out what wines to blend together to to kind of fill in those holes in the palate of the flavors, and then create a better wine out of a couple separate varietals than the individual ones on their own.
Okay, so Noel is kind enough to let me try this. Oh wow, it's easier. I thought that it would be sort of, I don't know if it's from all my weightlifting or it's not arduous at all.
No.
It's aromatic though.
It is.
Oh, wonderful. Boy, I love this. So, how am I doing?
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I could do this on the side.
Sure, you're hired.
You could pay me just with wine too. Just a couple of glasses before I go home. So we're here with the red wines. We see all the grapes for red wine. What about white? I know that you make white wines as well.
Yes, white wines are a little quote-unquote easier to make. At least they require less time out here in the open. So basically, instead of red wines, you want to ferment on the skins to pull out all of that, the color, the aromatics, the tannins, which are exactly the things you don't want in a white wine.
So does it take less time then to make a white wine?
It does. I mean, depending on the kind of white wine you're wanting to make, you can turn around a white wine, like the type of Chardonnay that I make sees either little to no barrel aging time. Okay. Mainly because I'm going for a really crisp, clean, fruity style of Chardonnay. And you get that by not putting it in a barrel. Right. By only doing it in stainless steel. Okay. And keeping all of those aromatic components in the wine.
That makes sense.
And so to do that, I mean, essentially that takes about somewhere between 6 to 7 months. Whereas a red wine, the entire process, including the barrel aging time, is anywhere from 18 months to over 2 years. Wow. Before it's ready to bottle, and then there's always the question of how long do you bottle age it before releasing it to the market. For a white wine, like the type of Chardonnay I make, 6 to 7 months. Wow, interesting. So much shorter.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So what kind of white wines do you have in there right now?
So right now I've got Chardonnay that I get the grapes from a vineyard here in Massachusetts, down in Westport. Okay. Oh yeah, that's on the South Shore. Yep, down on coast of Long Island Sound there. Vineyard is literally about a half a mile from the beach.
Horseneck Beach.
Horseneck Beach. Yep. And I also get some Pinot Noir that I make a rosé out of from them as well, and that was actually our #1 bestseller this past summer. Really? Completely sold out of it in 3 months. Oh, congratulations! Thank you.
Now, okay, so why don't we take a look at some of the bottles of wine, and then you can talk a little bit about the history of your company. I know it's only been around for about a year.
Pretty much, yeah.
So how did you actually, though, get started as a winemaker?
Well, it all started back when I was in graduate school. I ended up in Southern California for graduate school.
Ooh, tough.
I did actually spend time in the lab. I have a big thesis to prove that.
Okay, we're going to make you show it. Okay.
But I had friends that I met there that introduced me to the the local wines of Southern California, and
nice.
taking me, they took me out to the wine country, and we spent a lot of time touring wine country and tasting wines and talking with winemakers. And that after I graduated and started working as a medicinal chemist, I kept doing that, of really kind of investigating local wines, talking with winemakers, collected wines for almost 10 years. And then as I kept talking with winemakers, the one thing that I really loved talking to them about was the actual process of making the wine.
Chemistry
the
part
chemistry of it. And after a while, it was kind of like, I want to try this.
Right. It makes sense.
Yes. So I bought my first wine kit. It was a very cheap Sauvignon Blanc kit.
Was it like at the back of like a bubblegum wrapper that you
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
It was. I will admit, I did not spend very much money to start the hobby.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
And so made that first wine, and it was complete rot gut, absolutely horrid. But I love the process.
Mad Dog 2020.
I would say worse than that. But I love the process, and for the next decade, just kept practicing. Switched from kits to to juices, to making it from fruit, to buying grapes, and really getting into doing it from scratch, using the stuff straight out of the vineyard.
Yeah, like the real good grapes, like you said. The true wine grapes.
The true wine grapes.
Yep.
And the adage about making wine is you definitely get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so the higher the quality of grapes that you buy, that you either raise or purchase, makes a better quality wine.
That makes sense.
And that's really my focus, is making the best quality wine that will stand up to anything on the market today.
I sampled some of your wines at the farmers market. Can we talk a little bit
Sure.
about them? So we have. Okay, go ahead. You go.
Well,
tell me a little bit.
At the moment, we've got two white wines. Our Chardonnay, which is made from grapes grown right here in Massachusetts, down in Westport.
The Westport.
Very. It's the Chablis style of Chardonnay got a bad rap during the 70s with the big jug wine, but it's making a comeback now, and I kind of make a wine that's similar of a Chablis style Chardonnay. So nice, bright.
Crisper.
Crisp, really letting the fruit shine through with a good, crisp, acidic background.
As opposed to that oaky, buttery.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
The Chardonnay saw less than 2 weeks of barrel fermentation time. So it's got a hint of creaminess, but then really just lets the fruit just really shines. Northeast by Northwest, it's a little play on the fact that we blend our Chardonnay from Massachusetts with Viognier that we get from Washington.
Okay.
And so it's a fuller bodied. The Viognier saw a little bit more time in oak, so there's a little bit more of that creaminess.
Yep.
But again, very, very fruity, very, full bodied for a white wine. It's a good fall and winter white wine.
Sounds good for Thanksgiving dinner.
It would be excellent for Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay, good.
For our red wines, we've got 3 at the moment. Our PS Project is probably our biggest, heaviest red.
And that's Petite Syrah?
It's Petite Syrah.
What's the project mean?
So the name is, it's a little bit of a play on the fact that Petite Syrah is one of my favorite varietals. And it's my pet project to get people to drink more Petite Syrah.
Got it.
Because it's a grape that it makes great wine.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get much play in the wine market. These grapes come from California, come from the Suisun Valley of California, which is just to the southeast of Napa.
Okay.
So the vineyard is literally right on the other side of the hill from Napa.
Oh, okay.
They have it's a little bit closer to the San Francisco Bay, so you get some really good temperature variations with the fog coming in off the bay to cool it down at night. Karma, it's our fun little blend of Carmenere and Syrah.
Yep.
I came up with this blend back during my amateur days.
Oh, cool.
When I had a little barrel that I needed to fill. I didn't have enough Carmenere or Syrah to completely fill it.
Oh.
So I just mixed them together.
Oh, that's a
and
cool
just
story.
to see what happens, and loved the wine when it came out.
Oh,
and so
that's terrific.
decided that was a blend that I wanted to make. It's got a huge, enormous fruity nose with some spicy clove on the end, and some crisp acidity to cleanse the palate on the end. So it's perfect with anything off the grill, burgers, pizza, even Indian food. Yeah.
And now the Revolution Road Red. I've
Red.
heard a lot about this.
Yes, this is a very special wine, very limited production wine as well. So I found a vineyard in Rhode Island that he's right on the shore of Narragansett Bay. Home winemaker who likes to plant grapes, and he planted far more than he can possibly use.
Gotcha.
And so I purchased grapes from him to do this, and I purchased from him largely because I tasted the wine that he made from his own grapes over the past few years, and was absolutely blown away with what he's doing with Merlot and Cabernet Franc in Rhode Island. He did an excellent job of picking the clones, picking the site to get the microclimate to actually get those grapes ripe here in New England. And he farms as organically as possible.
Great. Like to hear that. Do you want to give him a plug?
Sure. It's the Bond Stores Vineyard in Tiverton.
Tiverton, yep,
Rhode
I know
Island.
where it is. Yep.
I get enough grapes from him to this year from the 2012 vintage to make a grand total of 208 bottles.
How much do you usually make per blend or per wine?
Usually it's anywhere from 35 to say 60 cases.
Okay.
So you're talking roughly you're in anywhere from like 400 to 800 bottles.
Okay, so this is a much smaller.
This is much smaller. It's about a third of what I'm normally able to make for a given wine.
Wow.
And so the name is a little play on the fact that I think he's doing some really revolutionary stuff in his vineyard. It's also a play on the fact that Carlisle Road, which we're on, is the route that the Westford militia took to the Battle of Concord back in 1775. So it's a little nod to local history as well. And that story is told on the back of the bottle.
Great.
And for letting me do that little plug to local history and talk about the Westford militia, I'm donating $2 a bottle of the sales to the Westford Historical Society.
Oh, that's terrific.
And because it's limited production, each wine is hand labeled with the vintage, the bottle number, and I hand signed it.
Okay, now this I love. It's very special to my heart. I tried
it is
an
excellent wine. Yes.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, I loved all your wines. They're all delicious. I'm not just saying that. That's why I wanted to come here and promote you because I actually loved all your wines. But this was so different. It's almost like a cordial, after dinner dessert wine.
Yeah.
And it's maple.
It is maple. It's 100% maple syrup. That we get maple syrup from the Berkshires. So we get the darkest grade of maple syrup we can possibly get, and dilute it and ferment it like an ice wine.
One thing I thought about this would be great with the holidays coming to bring a bottle
it makes a perfect hostess gift.
Yes.
or
stocking stuffer. Look at that. It's thin enough to stick right in the stocking. Yeah.
Perfect gift for the people who have everything.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's something a little different.
And I would say behind the rosé, the maple wine has been probably in terms of sheer bottles sold, has been our second best seller.
Oh, okay.
So people are very intrigued with it. It's unique.
It's very unique.
I'm the only winery in the state of Massachusetts making a maple wine like that. The versions I made, kind of the research versions I made as a amateur winemaker. I entered into several amateur winemaking competitions. Actually won several gold medals for that.
Yeah.
For that particular wine, and actually, that was kind of one of the impetus that led me to really get serious about starting a commercial winery was, not only were my friends telling me that they loved the wine. Of course, they would tell me that because I'm giving them
free bottles and they've
free booze.
They've had 3 or 4. Everything tastes good at that point. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. But to actually have,
Yeah, I was actually having independent judges,
yes.
Taste the wines I was making, and saying, these are on par with, commercial grade wines. Not only just basic commercial grade, but gold, medal, silver.
Winners.
Winning
right.
grades of commercial wines.
Boy, that must have just boosted your
it does,
your confidence, and that's why you went ahead and said, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm
yeah.
going to try this. And so you've been around since May and
yep.
here in Westford selling the wines, and it seems to be going pretty well for you then.
It's the folks of Westford and throughout the state that have tried our wine. Have really responded positively, and I'm humbled at the outpouring. Of folks really liking our wine.
Yeah, the positive feedback that you're getting.
The positive feedback that we're getting, and so it's we're looking forward to the next vintage, which is in progress right now.
Okay, so when is this going to be ready?
Well, these particular ones that are fermenting right now, probably not until. Probably won't be released until 2016. Okay. Fortunately, we have wines from last year that are nearing production.
Great.
And actually, I'm in the process of bottling a Merlot Cab Franc Petit Verdot blend that from the 2013 vintage. That it's a little bit near and dear to my heart, just because it was the blend that I made for. My wife and I's recent wedding.
Oh.
And so I haven't quite settled on a name for it yet. But
did you serve it? You mean
I did.
Yeah. Isn't that terrific?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so special.
Yeah. So I recreated the blend.
Nice.
And I haven't quite figured out a cute little name for it yet.
Okay, and now let's talk a little bit about how people can get your wine. Do you have tastings? Do you sell it anywhere locally? That sort of thing.
You can definitely come to the winery. We don't have a public tasting room,
okay.
But we do private wine tastings by appointment.
And that's at 28 Carlisle Road here in Westford.
Yep. Yeah, just give us a call or email, contact us through our webpage.
Okay.
To set up a tasting appointment. Can do anywhere from 1 to 18, 20 people or so.
Nice.
We can either do it here amongst the tanks and the barrels, or if it's a gorgeous day outside, we'll set a tent up outside and have
nice.
Have a little tasting outside, or move into the warmer areas of the house when it gets really chilly.
That's a fun thing to do, though, on a cold winter night, though.
It is.
With a bunch of friends. Yeah. Okay, so there's the tasting part of it. Now, what if someone wants to, and they can come here if they want, but where can you find these locally? Do you retail outlets? Or?
You can also just order straight through the web.
Oh, okay, great.
Through the web page, direct from me, or really locally, Westford Package Store up on Littleton Road has most of our wines. The Revolution Road Red is only sold through the winery, just because I don't have enough of it.
Got it. That makes sense.
To spread around to everywhere. Or Pepperell Beverage in downtown Pepperell also carries our wines, as does Elena's Gourmet Grocery in Lunenburg.
Okay. All right, terrific.
And we're constantly looking for new retail outlets.
Yeah, new retail outlets to carry your wine. I'm just very excited that you're here. I was very excited to see you at the Westford Farmers Market, and I think it's something to really brag about that Westford has their own local winemaker and wine cellar right here. So Noel Powell, thank you so much for joining me
My
today.
pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
And you know how to contact him.
The Aaronap Wine website is www.aaronnapcellars.com, or you can call Noel at 617-401-5535.